What's up everyone, and in today's video I want to deep dive into the fact that Mainline Persona is not on a Nintendo Switch yet. I've been discussing this subject in a few of my videos in the past, but I wanted to regroup every single argument that I have and discuss why I think the franchise is actually on its way to the console. As we all know, Mainline Persona has been on PlayStation for a while now, but it's never explicitly been said that the franchise is exclusive to PlayStation, so I really think it's worth discussing. In this video, I will give different arguments of why I think the franchise is eventually coming to the Switch, and we'll also discuss why it's a good idea to bring the games on the console from the point of view of Atlus and also from the point of view of us as fans. So, I have a lot to say, so I want to get right in. My first argument is that Atlus knows that the Nintendo Switch is worth developing for. Here's why. We have to go back to January 12th, 2017. This is the day Nintendo presented their brand new hardware to the public in their live presentation. What did we see that is important for the context of this video? First, Atlus was mentioned on the third party's developer that were in for the Nintendo Switch. And second, and most importantly, we saw the first teaser trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5. After the major failure of the Wii U, especially on the JRPG front, Atlus still decided to bring the next big installment from their most popular franchise, arguably, on the new console from Nintendo. If that doesn't prove that Atlus is confident for the Switch, honestly, I don't know what will. But hold on, I'm not done with this point yet. If you don't know already, Persona is a spin-off series that initiated from the Shin Megami Tensei franchise. Obviously, SMT has an history on Nintendo platforms. We saw recently SMT4, and the first games were also on the Famicom in Japan. So that definitely means something. But they decided to bring their new installment with SMT5 exclusively to the Switch. So brand new game running on Unreal Engine 4, arguably again one of their biggest games up to date that they decided to put right away on the console. We've not heard a lot from them yet, but still, with all that confidence from Atlus for the Nintendo Switch, it's hard to imagine that they won't bring Persona on the console, since it's probably the most, again, or the second most requested JRPG series on the Switch after Kingdom Hearts, I'd say. My second point is that Catherine Full Body is not coming to the Nintendo Switch only for Atlus to see the sales potential of their games on the console. Here's what I mean by that. As a big fan of Atlus, I watched a lot of videos online about the company and also on Atlus and the Nintendo Switch, especially since I'm a Switch fan as well. While watching those videos, something struck me right away. People are saying that Atlus is bringing Catherine Full Body onto the Nintendo Switch only to see if it's worth to bring Persona afterwards or more SMT games. I disagree here, and here's why. I do think they decided to bring Catherine for more than just the actual sales potential of the game. If you watch my video on Catherine Full Body, you know by now that the game is running on the same engine as Persona 5. After Catherine releases Atlus, they will have the engine running on the console. They will also know how their engine is doing on the console, how is it running. And since Persona 5 is a way bigger game than Catherine, it's easy to see why Atlus would want to see their engine run on the console before they decide to get into the porting process. Can you imagine a company like Atlus with a lot of the business analysts would take the decision to port an old game, which is far from their most successful game by the way, on the Switch only to see if it will sell enough to bring afterwards their most successful games like Persona? I think it's completely absurd to think that way if you ask me. Yes, Catherine is an amazing game, but it's not as popular as SMT or Persona for say. My third argument would be that Nintendo Switch fans are begging for Persona on the Switch. Okay, I want to be clear here. The Switch fan base is something that is sometimes very intense, especially when they want something. Sora in Smash, it would be a good example. For a video game, Persona 5 is also a good example. We've been hearing fans port begging and screaming out loud that they want the game on their console. Sometimes it's annoying, I agree, but still, listen to me here. When I go into my Instagram, I see people doing fake boxes and artwork for a Persona 5 version of a case for the Nintendo Switch. I also see it in Persona fan groups or other social medias, and also in Nintendo Switch groups. Of course, there's also the infamous comment sections of every single Atlus video on YouTube, where you can always find the one comment saying, "Well, that's cool and all, but where's Persona for the Switch?" At this point, Atlus knows that the fans want their game, on the Switch. They also know that similar games are selling very well on the Switch, which brings me to my next point. Good turn-based RPG tend to do very well on the Switch. I think it's personally very relaxing to play a turn-based RPG, especially on the Nintendo Switch, where you can simply play your game laying down in bed or sitting on the couch. You don't have to be exactly right in front of your TV always. I think it's a good thing, actually, that you can play on the go for those types of games. Those games tend to be very long, and it's great to be able to bring them on the go and play everywhere that you want, honestly. If we take a look at a few games that came out recently on the Switch that did pretty well, that are turn-based RPG, we can look at Dragon Quest XI S. We don't have the exact sales numbers, but what we know is that the game sold over 300,000 copies in its first week in Japan. It was the best-selling game of the week, and the game sold a total of 5.5 million copies, all platforms combined worldwide. We heard from Square Enix that they're very happy with the sales of the game. Also, we don't have the exact numbers for the Switch version yet, but I know that it sold a lot, honestly, with what they said. Another good example would be Octopath Traveler. The game recently was said to have sold over 2 million copies worldwide for the Nintendo Switch. For the type of game that it is, it's awesome, and I think it proves that there's definitely a market for those types of game on the console. My next point is that I think Atlus's games are directed especially towards the Japanese market, and the Nintendo Switch is dominating the Japanese market, to say the least. The Switch now has a good install base in 2020. The console is topping the Japanese charts every single week. We even saw it break record sale with the recent release of Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think it's crazy for a developer such as Atlus, where their games are directed towards the Japanese audience, to skip a console that is currently dominating their market, their own market. Another thing that I keep hearing is that people say Mainline Persona is exclusive to PlayStation. We have not had the confirmation that the game is exclusive and that there's no possibility to bring it to other consoles. We even saw Atlus's representative say fans of other consoles, especially the Switch, to port beg for the game on other consoles. We also saw their surveys where they asked a lot of questions, but they asked two things in particular that I feel are very pertinent for us in this video. First of all, they asked if we want their games on the Switch, and that was for all of their franchises, so SMT, Etrian Odyssey, Persona, all of those games. And the most important thing is that they especially asked if we wanted Persona on the Switch. I remember there was a question that was, do you want to see games like Persona on the Nintendo Switch? I think that definitely means that I don't think there's an exclusivity deal going on between PlayStation, Sony, and Atlus for the Persona franchise. And my last point, honestly, is my personal opinion. I think Mainline Persona is perfect for portable play. I don't know if you guys played Persona 4 Golden on the Vita. I did play the game on the Vita. I really enjoyed my experience. Honestly, in 2020, who wants to play a 100 hours plus playthrough of a turn-based RPG sitting on their couch? That's a limitation, honestly. I've heard a lot of people say that to me. I keep recommending Persona 5 to a lot of my friends, and most of them, they tell me like, yeah, it looks cool, and I know that the game scored really high, and it's a quality title, but I don't have the time to play this game sitting on my couch for all those hours. And I understand, honestly, it's not everyone that has the time to play those type of games. They want to bring the game on the bus, play at lunchtime at work. It's really the type of game where you want to play that way, honestly. And I also think that with the visual style that the franchise has, it would run really well on the Switch, and it will look gorgeous as well. So this is all for this video, guys. As I said before, I spoke about Persona on the Switch for a few minutes in a couple of my videos. I wanted to do a whole video dedicated to the subject. It's a subject that's very close to my heart. I would really like to have one of my favorite games be ported to one of my favorite consoles. I think it's a good opportunity for Atlus, and we also definitely know that fans want their games on the console. So come on, Atlus, please do it. But thank you very much for watching my video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, I put similar content like this every single Tuesday. Don't hesitate to subscribe and leave a like. If you have a comment, since if you have different opinion from what I've said, or you want to add some information to the arguments that I said, don't hesitate. I would like to read them and to answer to you directly. But thank you for your time, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.